Today we started our 6-day 5-night trip to Mudgee. Our first stopover was a 2.5-hour drive to Bathurst. Here at the information centre we picked up some information for the next few days. They also offer a lot of local souvenirs that you can bring back to your friends and family. We drove over to the main street of Bathurst, where all the shops were, to meet up with our family and also to grab lunch. Our first meal of this trip was a Mexican fast food chain called Sombrero, and we filled up on some juicy burritos. Bathurst is the oldest white inland settlement, and it definitely gives off those vibes with this old-fashioned ice cream shop. Even though I have a sweet tooth, this ice cream is just a tad too sweet for me. And to walk off our lunch, we visited Mccaddy Park, which is just across the road. This Victorian park is quite refreshing, nestled in the middle of the city, offering a duck pond, a bandstand, and a fountain. We decided to test our racing skills at Mount Panorama, famous racetrack in Bathurst. When there's no races, you're actually allowed to drive on the race course. Try to catch up if you can. Another hour drive up north landed us in our Airbnb in the hills of Mudgee, overlooking the little town. This is our accommodation for the next few nights, and it has 7 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. And of course, we made sure to keep ourselves entertained with this projector. Our first dinner at Mudgee was at the local pub Lawson Hotel. Now that we're all gathered around the table, just a quick introduction. This is me. We have Calvin, Katie, Mum, Diane, Popo, Yi, Yijang, and Norris. The pub food here was surprisingly really good. We had steak, chicken wings, pork ribs, pasta, and fish. This here is one of the main streets in Mudgee. With a population of around 11,000 people, it's peaceful compared to Sydney. We started off our day at a local coffee shop in Mudgee called the Quick Brown Fox, ordering coffee, raisin toast, and bacon and egg roll. We made our way over to Mudgee Estate, a 15-minute drive from Mudgee. This is a family-owned vineyard, offering wine flights from $5. Along with our selection of white, rosé and red, we also ordered an antipasto platter. We continued our tasting tour at High Valley Cheese Co., which is known for the marinated Feta cheese. Tasting is free here, and my favourite is the pesto feta cheese available at your local Harris farm. We capped off our night with dinner at the Vine. For mains we had crispy pork belly, BBQ beef ribs, rump steak and pan-fried fish. For dessert we had creme brulee and the highlight of the night, affogato with an alcoholic twist, a shot of butterscotch schnapps and coffee liqueur. A great way to end the night. The next day we left the house nice and early and headed towards Dubbo, an hour and a half drive west. The first stop was by far my favourite breakfast of this trip, Village Bakehouse. It had a large range of selection from loaves of bread, pastries, patisseries, bread rolls, sandwiches, and even coffee. I decided to go with a steak and mushroom pie paired with an iced latte. This here is the train station of Dubbo. There's only one train per day that goes to Sydney, so make sure you're not late, or else you'll be waiting a while. Opposite the train station is Victoria Park, Dubbo's biggest park with a lot of facilities for family outings. We made our way to Western Plains Cultural Centre, which hosted Dubbo's Regional Gallery hosting provocative local Australian art, and Dubbo's Regional Museum exhibiting the history of Dubbo through stories told by residents. We arrived at Dubbo Square to do a quick shop before heading to Press Cafe, which is also my favourite lunch of this trip. Seating here was comfortable, with very friendly staff, and the food here was absolutely amazing, and definitely recommend coming here if you do visit Dubbo. Of course we had to walk off the meal that we just had, and where better than this Japanese garden in Dubbo. Walking through the well-groomed garden, which hosted a wide range of botany, leaves you peaceful and tranquil. Next to the park is a large playground with a lot of equipment. Even adults will be acting like kids here. We made our way back to Mudgee, and it was time for dinner. We ate at Mudgee Brewing Co., who brew their own beer in-house. They offer a tasting paddle of 8 of their finest beers. Another day, another park. This here is Lawson Park, Mudgee's local park bordering Gulgong River, and if you're lucky, you might just catch a fish or two here. We had breakfast at Mudgee Bakery, a local favourite. I ordered the chocolate milk, lemon tart and meat pie, all for $10. What a bargain. After 15 minutes of driving, we arrived at Low Family Wine Co. and were straight away welcomed by this friendly dog. We decided to get the tasting menu, and although the wine wasn't anything special, the views on the other hand was quite the experience. The drinking adventures continue at Baker Williams Distillery, who handcraft their own spirits and liqueurs. They offer a tasting menu similar to a lot of the wineries we visited, and I brought home a butterscotch schnapps and coffee liqueur, so I can make my own affogatos at home. But wait, there's more drinking, and this time at Guri's Cellar. We had some wines and some in-house pork crackling. After all that drinking, we headed to Roth's for dinner. Roth's has live performances on Friday nights, and we were lucky enough to have pizza and garlic bread with a side of music that night. It's time for our daily park, but this time we don't have a local park, but a national park. Not the best weather for a hike, but we'll be doing a walk called the Drip. The hike is rated a grade 3 and is 2.8 kilometers walk, which takes about 1.5 hours return. Although it's a little muddy, it's not intense at all, and even my grandma Pawpaw could do it. For lunch, we headed to the local pub in Gulgong, a 30-minute drive north of Mudgee. Because there's only about 2,500 people in Gulgong, everyone here is very friendly and very welcoming. Gulgong is a 19th century gold rush town, with all its buildings well preserved. Since it was our last night at the Airbnb, we decided to have a fancy barbecue, spoiling ourselves with gourmet sausages, lobster tails, and rump steaks. The end of our trip is nearing, and our last meal in Mudgee was breakfast at Outside the Square. On the way back to Sydney, we did one more stopover, this time at Ember's restaurant for lunch.